I can't even remember when was the first time I had the idea of doing a YouTube video. It must have been over 10 years ago, and every now and then I still come up with a topic that I like to cover, a format that I like my videos to be in, and I feel inspired and excited about it for a bit, and I might even tell a friend about it. And usually they will offer some encouragements, words of affirmation, and tell me that I should do it. Nevertheless, year after year, I was stuck in this cycle of inaction because my mind would come up with all these doubts and insecurities. I don't know how to film. My room doesn't look good enough. I don't have a good camera. I don't know how to edit. I have too many interests and I can't really narrow down a niche for my channel. And worse still, what if I become an internet laughingstock, a locale, so to speak? And over time, this cycle of inaction led me to develop this belief about myself that I'm a procrastinator, I am a person of inaction, I am someone who is not brave enough to take risks to pursue what she really wants, and someone who would rather choose a safer, less risky route. When we are growing up, the adults around us might ask us these questions like, how old are you? What do you like to eat? What would you like to be when you grow up? And initially, our younger selves might not be able to answer these questions. We might just say, I don't know, or just because. And over time, as we grow up, as our language skills and our knowledge of the world develops, we're able to offer more precise answers. For example, we might say, oh, I'm a student from such and such school. I really like music. I like to be a firefighter when I grow up. We give ourselves these labels. We make up these labels and stories about ourselves. Now, when I say we make up these stories, I don't necessarily mean that they're entirely false or completely arbitrary, right? You'd say that, my mom and dad do this for a living because they do. You say that I'm from this town because that's where you were born. But sometimes these stories can be arbitrary and false. At least they're not true all the time. For example, to go back to that personal example at the beginning, when I said I've developed this idea of myself as a person of inaction, in the making of this very video, I'm doing the exact opposite of what that person would do. I want you to see how these labels and stories we tell ourselves can sometimes become self-fulfilling prophecies. When you believe in these labels wholeheartedly, when you completely believe in their truthfulness, right? So we have these labels. They come with a host of thoughts and emotions, right? So for example, if I think of myself as a very socially anxious person, I'm such a wreck, I'm so uninteresting, people will never like me or take interest in me. This might lead me to have other thoughts. For example, I shouldn't speak up, I shouldn't go to this party, there's no way that I would go up to this person and try and initiate a conversation. And we might feel quite down, insecure, anxious, and in moments when we're alone, we might feel sad. So these labels, if we embody them, if we really come under their grip and believe in their veracity, generates these thoughts and emotions. But even more importantly, when we have these thoughts and emotions, our actions become guided by them, right? We don't go to that party. We don't try to initiate conversation with this person. We don't reach out to a friend. And these actions have predictable outcomes, right? As we consistently miss out on the opportunity to socialize, to form new connections and bonds, there are more and more moments where we find ourselves wanting somebody's company, wanting to confide in someone, but there's no one that we feel comfortable speaking to. Then we feel lonelier, which then reinforces this idea that, we're too socially anxious and will be a wreck forever. So it really forms this self-perpetuating cycle. So why might we have developed these abilities to give ourselves labels and tell stories about ourselves? Really, it's for the convenience of other people. These labels and stories give others a shorthand way to categorize us, to glean information about us, to be able to predict our behaviors. It's really for the convenience of society, it's for the convenience of others. So, for example, if I tell somebody that I'm a doctor, they immediately, from that label alone, can glean a lot about me, right? They know roughly what I do on a day to day basis. I see patients, I diagnose them, I prescribe medication. Um, they can glean that, I probably went to school for many years and I did well, and I went to medical school, a lot of perseverance, and it's a shorthand way to infer, my social standing, how much I make, yada, yada, yada. But these functions in our brains don't like to stay in their lanes, so to speak. They often misfire, they often overgeneralize. As we go through life, we inevitably encounter these painful, disappointing experiences. We might fail exams, we might go through breakups, we might be betrayed, um, we might make all kinds of mistakes. It's inevitable, we're human. But over time, as these painful experiences accumulate, that capacity of us to give ourselves labels, to tell ourselves stories about ourselves, might come up with things like, I'm ugly, I'm unworthy, I'm unlovable, I'm incompetent, I'm worthless, I'm too damaged, all these kinds of things. And what happens? They end up guiding our actions, just in the way that this diagram shows. Right? For example, if you are someone who has gone through a lot of trauma in your childhood and you developed low self-esteem, and you start having this narrative that you're too damaged to be loved by someone who's undamaged. And then what happens? You don't stand up for yourself. You might tolerate disrespect or even abuse. You might be grateful, so grateful, even just for breadcrumbs. And then one day you might realize how unfulfilled, how sorrowful you really feel in the relationships that you have. And you might think, oh, it's because I was too broken to be loved in the first place, without realizing that you have really contorted yourself to fit this label. Your actions have fed this monster, this cycle of sorrows. So what can we do? How do we actually break this cycle? I like you to consider, when you're saying these things to yourself, when you're self-criticizing, saying that I'm unlovable, I'm unworthy, who is speaking this and who is hearing this? You might think that this is a very strange question. It's me speaking to myself, of course, you might say. But consider all of the experiences and the memories that you have had, all of your happy times, all of the times in which you felt the lowest, right? So let's maybe write that down in a board. You'll see where this is going. So we have happy, sad, and these are your memories. These are your memories. And then you also embody various identities, right? So for example, for myself, I am a daughter. At the same time, I am also a sister to my little brother. I work, I am a tutor, a teacher, and then I'm also a student. I am a PhD student in psychology, for context. And when I embody all of these identities, my thoughts and feelings are different. I feel different ways about these memories and these identities. I act differently in different contexts. And all of us embody a variety of contexts, and we all have a wide range of emotional history and experiences. It's all variable, but really there is something that is constant, right? There's a you that is observing this, that is experiencing and going through all of this. So let's say all of this is the history of your life, and let's draw a little pair of eyes. Give it some eyelashes. The eyes is looking. I know it looks like a little nose, but it's a direction line. The eyes are looking. There is a you that is standing outside of all of this, observing it, experiencing it. And I like to argue that this is the real you. This is the true you. Everything inside of here, this includes your labels as well. Your labels and narrative, they're all inside of here. And this is you. This is part of the content of your mind. But there's an additional you, a higher self, a real you that is observing all of this. I'd like for you to consider another metaphor. So let's say this whiteboard pen that I have, right? We can give it a description. It's got a black cap, it's got a white plastic body, it's got some text written on it. That's a description. And at the same time, I could also give it an evaluation. I could say that this is the best pen in the world, the most beautiful pen. Or I could say this is the worst pen in the world, absolutely trash, right? Whatever evaluations and labels I attach to this pen, there's nothing inherent in this pen that is good or bad or ugly or beautiful. It's all superimposed by me, an external agent, right? And in the same way, this you that stands outside of all of your experiences, all of the content of your mind, is just there. It's just you. It just is. You know, it's neither good nor bad. It's just the way it is, and it's complete and whole the way it is. I want to tell you where these ideas come from because one, I don't want to take credit for ideas I didn't come up with. And also, if you're interested in these ideas, if you resonate with them, I like to be able to point you to a place where you can find more. So these ideas I'm presenting to you today come from ACT therapy, ACT, or acceptance and commitment therapy. And in ACT, this part, all of your memories, all of your identities, all the stories and labels, they're called the conceptualized self. Whereas this part is called the self as context. The self as context. And the idea is that the more you can divorce these two from the other, the more you can see them as separate, the more you can be present, the more you can separate yourself from the pain and the sorrow and the shame, all of these negative emotions that can be generated by these labels that we self-impose. And the more you are free to act in accordance to your values, in accordance to your goals. So, how should I explain this? For example, if I have a label of myself as unworthy, right, there will be, again, a set of thoughts and emotions that come from that. Some of them might be self-sabotaging. Some of them might be against my own interest. But that's provided that I'm guided, that I'm controlled by these thoughts and feelings. In other words, I'm controlled by these labels. But if I can recognize that these are just kind of things that I create in my mind, these are just kind of arbitrary labels I give myself, the more I can embody this self as context and take a step back and just kind of observe the thoughts as they are. That's it, just thoughts, just things and feelings that come and go. There's no need to act on them. There's no need to be controlled by them. We are free. We are not shackled. You know, we might be in a cage, but we can open that door anytime. We have the key in our hands. And that's essentially the idea I want to present to you today. If you resonate with these ideas, I want to leave you with an exercise that you can do. It's a journaling and visualizing exercise. What you would want to do is to pick some of your labels that you feel like have really been having a strong hold on you. You know, something like, I'm a loser, I'm unattractive, right? And I want you to write down a description of what you think that person would be like and what you think that person would do. You can imagine this person as yourself in your likeness, but you don't have to. It can just be a person. Then write down a description of what you think a person like that will be like and what you think they would do, what actions would they perform. You can imagine this person as yourself, but you don't have to. You can just kind of imagine a generic person who fits that label. Then I would like you to take time to imagine what would be an opposite action that someone with that label would do. Really visualize it. Sit down, close your eyes, get into a comfortable position, and imagine what it would be like for that person to do the opposite action of what their label entails. I would never pretend to you that I'm not a flawed person, that I have everything together, that I don't also have a lot of lessons to learn, a lot of growth to accomplish, a lot of challenges to overcome. So I will also be doing this exercise. For one, I don't anticipate this video to get that many views, if any at all. And in the past, I've been a person who is um, quite easily discouraged by negative feedback, by criticism, someone who is a little bit timid and easily frustrated. And the opposite of what that person would do is to post another video regardless. So let me know if you enjoy the video today, if there's anything that's unclear. If you did the exercise, let me know how you felt. I would love to hear from you as always, and I will see you in the next video.